We're seeing a lot of cases of women coming out now behaving like bad men, hurting their partners, meaning domestic violence, those kind of things. So domestic violence is equally men and women, but you don't hear that very often. That's how you lose your job, by saying that. Again, it's that sense of, well, okay, women might commit it at the same rates. Oh, but what happened to them? Are they okay? Maybe he started it, which is not the case. Women usually start domestic violence. The research is there. It's just quite hidden, which is really common as well.
I've never heard anything like this. You said it's quite hidden. Could you explain more?
So there's been a lot of work done by a gentleman by the name of Murray Strauss, but there's a number of other researchers that have done a lot of work. Erin Peasy, who started the first women's refuge, she talks a lot about this issue. So I used to teach domestic violence to the police because I'm able to do that as a private consultant. The women usually instigate domestic violence. If you put the different gendered couples side by side, lesbian couples have the highest rates of domestic violence, and gay couples, so two men, have the lowest rates. So two women have the highest and two men together have the lowest. I mean, that's quite telling, to be honest. The research also shows that women do instigate the violence initially, and often men are protecting themselves if the woman's being violent. But of course, it comes across as, oh, she was just protecting herself. So I think it's the problem is it's the way we've recorded a lot of stats internationally around these issues that has skewed what we think about domestic violence. I mean, there are cases of one party or the other being very lopsided. But you look at the case of, Johnny Depp and Amber Heard. I mean, that's a perfect example. That really it was quite the controversy and quite a lot of debate around who was at fault and whether he was the abuser or she was the abuser. But that was quite an equal violence between the two. But it was about how you saw that. And I know a lot of domestic violence groups saw it as she was the victim and she was just protecting herself, whereas many believed that was bilateral violence, and that's usually the case in many domestic violence situations. But we don't talk about it.
Wow. And you mentioned issues in the tools that are used. So a lot of people look at the Robert Hare's psychopathy checklist, the PCLR. That was initially done using research on male inmates.
Hmm.
So these are strictly men, and they probably don't have the same relational access, even for things like relational aggression, if they wanted to use that because they are isolated in the prison system. So then that has been extrapolated out to the corporate environment sometimes, I think, but then there's criticism of that. To go even deeper on these ideas, you can watch my full episode using the link in the description or the box on the screen.